And she ends up doing a couple days, like a weekend trip, just with this group of people. And she calls home to her mom. Her mom's like, "Yo, I just want to make sure you're okay." And she's like, "I'll be fine. I won't get pregnant." Like whatever, which is like, really cool. Beth is. I love how self-aware she is. She's very self-aware. She's away from home. She knows she's like her mom pretty much knows like you're having sex. Clearly, like you're staying out. Like you wouldn't do that if it wasn't for a guy. And she's like, "Watch what drugs you take, Beth. Like like don't do anything too crazy. Like weed is one thing, and her mom probably knows that Beth, will smoke a little pot, but she's just hoping that she doesn't get into anything a little bit more drastic." And
I'm gonna be honest.
yeah, so after her little,
I kind of thought it was funny when I think she does weed or whatever for the first time, but it's like she's been doing fucking animal tranks since she was 10. Weed,
yes,
yes. I just feel like weed does nothing for you at that point.
Yeah, she just smokes it. You remember her first time smoking weed? She just hits the weed and she's fine. And then like the next day, all of the people that she was with, they leave her. And it's kind of a recurring theme with loneliness with Beth, right? Like she ends up alone several times throughout the show. So the people that she's with, they end up like kind of abandoning her. She ends up cleaning the entire place that they're in.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like getting high. She's like smoking. She's like, she finds a little joint in an ashtray. She lights that shit up. She puts some music. And she's like dancing and vacuuming and like cleaning the place up. And you see that she's completely fine with the fact these fuckers have ditched her. Like she ain't mad. So I think it's just really cool that, again, it just reiterates like I'm okay. Like people have been leaving me all her life. So anyway, she ends up in Mexico with her mom. Her mom runs off with this guy. Her mom ends up getting sick. And weirdly enough, I didn't really see it coming like this, but her mom does end up passing away. So before her mom passed away, she did have this one conversation with Beth where she tells her like, "Yo, there's more to life than just chess." Like she leaves her. That's like the last conversation she has with her mom, because Beth again is super stressed out. She's like, "I have to study," and then she's like, "Can you turn that down?" Like her mom is like watching some soap opera or something, and she's like, "Can you turn it down? Like, can you not? Everything her mom did was bothering her. She's an angsty teenager, and just like you're annoying me. Like, oh my god, I'm trying to study. Like, what the fuck?" Her mom tells her like, there's more to it than just chess. Like, I want you to have some semblance of life outside of this game. And I do want to talk about that for a bit, because I think being really competitive in something, in my experience being Yu-Gi-Oh, like you do kind of lose yourself for the competition. And apparently this is still going on in the community, but like I talked about how for the world's grind, people going from regional to regional. So Saturday they'll go to a Philly regional, and then Sunday they'll go to a regional in Ohio. And then the next weekend they'll fly out to California. Then they'll go to one in Vegas on the next day after the Saturday regional. And then they'll go to Oklahoma. And then the next day they'll go to fucking, I don't know, Texas or something. Like they're just all over the place. And when you don't do well, you're very angry. A lot of times you take it out on your friends. And you start to become a shitty person without realizing it. Like it's not intentional. It's because of your love for the game. You're so passionate about the game. And I love that for people who are passionate. Like I love the passion. Don't get me wrong. I've been there. But just try not to alienate yourself, and try not to be a shitty person to your friends who are really not trying to do anything but look out for you in most cases. Like they really just want the best for you, especially if they're looking out for like your health, mental health. Sometimes when you're so deep in it, you can't see how deep in it you are, that you're kind of off the deep end. And I'm speaking from experience right now. I've had experiences where I talk to my closest friends in such a way that honestly it's like one of my biggest regrets in life. Like it's still something that I feel like I'm always atoning for by I try to be like, I used to be really, really mean and really just nasty to anyone who would try to critique me or anything bad about my plays, or even try to help me if I felt like they were trying to be condescending. Even if they meant well, like they could have been like, "Yo, like, hey, you misplayed, you could have done this or whatever," and I would just like really fly off the handle. And this is me, like, again, I won a YCS when I was 20 years old. And it went straight to my head. I mean, it honestly went straight to my head. I was a 20-year-old when I won a YCS. And that is pretty young. Like, not the young, some people have won when they're teenagers or whatever. God bless you. But, like, I won when I was 20, and that shit just, it definitely goes, like, your ego just blows up, and it can just turn you into a monster. Like, I won't even say that it transformed me, because I think that people are who they are. And you really get to be your full self the further you get in life in certain things. Like when you see success, it kind of enhances who you are. So Beth, as she has success, she starts treating her mom shitty, like blatantly. She's just treating her mom bad. Like you can tell, like the conversations they have, she's kind of just like distant with her mom. She's kind of aggravated with her mom, just being rude to her. Like her mom's not really doing anything. Like she's just being herself. Her mom's being the same person she's always been, but she's being like naturally a dick to her mom. And so I just wanted to kind of throw that out there that like from experience, like if you know that you have ruined some relationships with people that used to be really close with, like maybe if those things are, hopefully you can say something that you can recover from. But if you can patch those relationships up, never too late, because her mom does end up passing after they have that last little spat where her mom tells her there's more to life than chess Beth. And Beth doesn't even really respond to it. She's just kind of like, whatever, like, yeah, okay. Kind of almost, it almost gives me the vibe like because her mom's life honestly has gone so poorly in Beth's eyes, like to her mom, I mean, to Beth, from Beth's perspective, like your husband left you when I got here. You're clearly depressed. You're suffering from all kinds of other like mental health issues and stuff like that. Like you're off, drink a lot, like you take these pills. She doesn't really have the highest opinion of her mom at the time, and later on she does. In the moment when it's happening, when you're really deep in it, and all you care about is the game, and you don't care about the people around you. Like you could tell that she's just lost herself a bit, and she doesn't really respect her mom as much.
And it's a shame because her mom, they show subtly, and like you said, you don't really realize, excuse me, that this is where it's going to go. But they show throughout the episodes that her mom is suffering and she's sick, and she even mentions that she's sick later on. And so when she ends up dying, in one way it feels out of nowhere. When you look at it, like there was a lot leading to her death. She clearly wasn't healthy. And then in addition to that, she could never really get any real help because she was struggling and doing everything she in her life without any real help. Like she was living her life and then doing everything she could for her daughter Beth,
Yes.
while also still like it being a mutual beneficial relationship, and that Beth was the one bringing home the bacon, so to speak. But the
Yeah.
mom was essentially, even if Beth didn't want it or acted like she didn't want it or was being a bratty teenager, the mom was Beth's support network, whereas the mom herself didn't really have a support network, and she just kind of had,
She had no one
she had nothing.
but
So
Beth.
there was no one or
And
anything
that's
to really help her. So when she ends up passing away, like maybe that was preventable. Maybe she could have seen a doctor, but like due to the time period
yeah.
and due to the situation she was in, she never really had the opportunity to get that help.
And that's why she was so clingy with the Mexican guy, her pen pal, quote unquote. Like she immediately falls for this guy because she just wants to feel love again, and she wants to feel like her life has meaning. They do show her mom play piano a couple times throughout, even when they go to tournaments. Like there'll be a piano in a tournament lobby, in the lobby of a hotel, and her mom will sit down and play, and it's beautiful. Like her mom was clearly a pianist at heart, and that's what she would have done with her life. But just the times were so fucked that again, no one would take her seriously. Like even her own husband didn't take her seriously. So it just sucks that like, she's this beautiful pianist and she has like stage fright. She mentions like, oh yeah, I don't like playing in front of people. But then when she finally gets encouraged to do so, eventually people gather around and they're like clapping and shit. Like she's doing a really good job. So she has something there, but yeah, I mean, in that episode, this is only episode 4, by the way, but it seems like, I swear, the show seems so long. And I felt like I had known her mom forever. But by episode 4, she meets Borgov and she watches him play, and she sees him with his guys in an elevator, and they're speaking Russian. And they are the two guys that Borgov is with, like the other two Russian pros, they are dissing the fuck out of Beth. They're talking about her in this really condescending way. And Borgov somewhat defends her. He's like, like, I get it. She only knows winning, right? Like it's her only way. Like, he kind of like defends her. It's not.
I do
They
like what he
say some
says.
really fucked up shit about her.
I do like what Borgov says. He says like, she's an orphan and like she's a fight. He says like she's like us, and so
Yes.
you don't get a much about Borgov's backstory, but clearly you know that like in Russia, it's shown in the show that like they're taking this very seriously and they're putting a lot into it, and so he makes it clear like he's like
Yes.
she's like us, she's a fighter, and so like she's nothing if she doesn't win. And
Yep. And that's clearly how, Russians, I guess, raise their kids in competitive ways too. So he relates to her in that way, but the other two pros they just say some really vile shit in the elevator. And Beth is actually in the elevator with them, but they don't know it. Borgov, he realizes, and he kind of looks back, and she can speak Russian. So like she actually understands what they're saying. Or at least that's the insinuation that I got from it. But she understands what they're saying in that elevator. She doesn't say anything when she hears it, but she just kind of like, she knows what they're saying. And Borgov looks back. He doesn't nod his head. He just kind of looks at her and then looks forward. And then they end up. So before she plays him, she plays this other kid prodigy. And I actually just like this scene because Beth is so fucking anime. She's just anime as fuck. She's playing this kid who's another prodigy and little cute cute as a button. But as she's playing him, I guess she just knows that it's over. Like how you said earlier, where chess is over in 4 moves, but you might have to play for another 2 hours. She starts literally standing up and walking away from the fucking table as they're playing chess. And the kid is confused. And it's almost like in one way she's like throwing him off because
it is. It's part of the mind game too, because she does the thing where like she's tapping her foot, like she's impatient. Yeah, she's like
she seems so impatient with his moves. She's like so aggravated by him. And I love this because I've done all types of weird mind game shit to my opponents before, so I get it. But it's just interesting because even to this point, she had just played people, beat them, and walked away. But like for whatever reason, when she's playing this guy, she decides to employ some mind games. And I'm not sure if it was necessary, but I also think that she uses her like feminine laurels to kind of, because he's looking at her. You can tell that he's attracted to her too. Like the little boy is very clearly like at that moment, little Billy knew he didn't want to play chess anymore. Like Beth is hot. I can't stress this enough, but Beth grew up hot. Okay, the little girl who I was talking about, who fucking had the really fucked up bow cut and just looked trash. When she grows up and she's an adult, she is fucking hot. Okay, like she is hot. So. Hey guys, if you like this clip, we have full video versions of our podcast episodes available on the IMNerd Patreon, as well as exclusive content.
If you'd like to listen to our full podcast episodes or find us on any other social media platforms, you can do so by clicking the link tree below.